Will it be a Christmas cracker for Cherries at the City Ground on Saturday? This is the big match preview. My name's Sam.
My name's Tom.
You'll be pleased to see that I've adorned for once some kind of Christmas attire, mate. Do you like this one?
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't think I've seen it before. It's nice.
I love your jumper, mate, as well.
Got a few, I know.
Cool and classy. So we travel up to Nottingham on Saturday. It's a big game for us. Ask us a few days ago, and most Cherries fans would have been fairly confident. Now they're not too sure because changes are afoot in the East Midlands. Of course, we saw yesterday, we had a chat with Dave Asprey. Thanks for everyone who left comments on that. And he's not sure how it's going to go. He absolutely loved Steve Cooper. Some people, though, did not. However, when you play a team that's got a new manager, Tom, we're always concerned about the bounce. And that's what might happen on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, it might do. Remains to be seen. I think it does feel a little bit different. I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and we'll probably all say, you know, if we lost the game, we'd go, new manager bounce. But it feels a little bit different because I don't think the majority of Forest fans would have chosen Cooper out, Nuno in at this point. I think it was quite clear that the players like Cooper. So you don't know, I know he's been in for a few days, but how much work has he been able to get? So in that side of things, I go, actually, you know, if they go down, will they all be, you know, the crowd included? Will it be a bit toxic in there and could help us weirdly? But then on the reverse of that, you know, they're on a bad run and they've changed something, so that could help them. And there are a few players that I'm sure we'll get onto that Nuno has worked with before. He's done what, depends what you look at. If you get the Nuno from Tottenham, it's not ideal for him. But the Nuno at Wolves, I think it was back-to-back, obviously after promotion, back-to-back 7th place finishes, got into Europe. So depends what Nuno turns up, depends, you know, what happens. But I guess for the Forest players, they'll know now. They know that he's gone. They know they've got this manager. So, yeah, that's why there's normally a manager bounce, because they know what they've got to do and they've got to impress a new gaffer. So, not ideal, but we're on a good run, mate. See what happens.
So, 'tis the season for festive football. The best way to watch it, well, it's at your local Green King Sports pub. Of course, after all, Christmas is a time to catch up with friends, old and new. But why not get them together, get the team together and watch the team for some refreshing pints, some delicious food and live action of every Christmas cracker.
Yeah, every fixture from TNT, Sky and Amazon is live at your Green King Sport pub. That means wall-to-wall action on their HD screens. Head to your local Green King, watch every winning goal, top bins volley and dodgy VAR decision in an atmosphere worth sharing.
So all the games on Boxing Day and the couple of days after are on Amazon Prime, including ours against Fulham. It's huge. You can check out when games are on. There are a few offers on the Green King Sport app. Download it now. Not least 10% off drinks every time there's live sport on the telly. Right, so let's check out the league table then.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what, mate? We're in a good place. We are 14th. We are 10 points clear of the dreaded drop zone with
a game in hand. So that's where it looks, you know, it's always dangerous because you might lose it. But yeah, that game in hand, when you look at, you go, oh, that's quite nice. And then you realise we've played a game less, obviously, because the game got voided against Luton. So, yeah, we're in a good place, mate. Would have taken this, and Forest, obviously, on a really bad run.
Yeah, a really bad run. I mean, look at that. Their last 5 are not pretty. The last 6 even. Let's go as far as that. I think their last win was actually against Aston Villa at home. We're going to go through their results, talk about the tricky trees a bit later on. But if you are a Forest fan, there are a few reasons to subscribe to this channel, because over the weekend, we've got plenty of content that I'm sure will make you salivate. Maybe not if you lose, but
yeah,
look, there's fan cams after the game, aren't there? Yeah. So we get fan opinion straight after at full time. So if you subscribe, hit the bell, we'll ping you when that's live also.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the last year, I feel like that was a really good fan cast. We were buzzing.
Fans were just going.
Yeah, we were buzzing. So even if, you know, if you were to get a positive result, you might, you know, cheekily go, oh, let's see how they are this year then. Yeah, and then obviously the vlog comes out on the Sunday. And we have to do a little away day show as well. And Forest, you got to remember, they're one of the teams we covered the most because they were in the Championship with us, what we said last year. Always pretty good on the away day show. So can they keep that up? Because, there's been some surprises in the away day show with the new layout, I think, personally, when we rated it. So might be a bit different. So, yeah, loads of stuff, loads of reasons to like, hit the bell and subscribe as well. We really appreciate it.
So, should we remind ourselves of what happened last time? Because I want to watch it again. Come on!
Penalty to Forest. I still think there's opportunities for us, but we've got to make these opportunities count.
What a game that
Top
was.
off, mate. I'm the top off.
You had your top off,
That's what
mate.
it's been.
I mean, that was
twice
superb.
last season. I had the top off, and
That was September last year. A remarkable comeback from the Cherries. I think that was Gary O'Neill's first win.
Yeah.
After that point in the week at home against Wolves, after Parker was sacked, he then went on to get 3 points in a game that we were dead and buried. 2 goals down at half time. I think Kouyaté and Brennan Johnson scored for them.
Yeah, penalty won that.
One of which was, I think, like Neto was positioned probably badly for a header. But you know what? He made some changes. I think Ryan Fredericks became involved in the second half, and then screamer from Phil Bill.
yeah, and he scored there for Huddersfield. He scored a screamer.
almost identical.
Yeah, so we'll see if that can happen again.
A little bit of an overhead from Dom Solanke.
And then Jaden, obviously, it's weird, isn't it? It was only a season ago, and you're thinking, oh yeah, that was Gary O'Neill's first win against Nottingham Forest, because his first game was against Wolves, who he's now manager of, and they've got his old manager of Wolves, Nuno, and Ryan Fredericks come on. I don't think we've seen him since, and Jay Nantley scored the winner, who's now at League. How could so much change in a season? But yeah, it was a really good one for us, as you say, mate. It felt like a real moment, because obviously we just got rid of Scott Parker. We were 2-0 down at half time, and you're all down, dead and buried, as you say. And the togetherness of the team and the fight in the second half was brilliant. So yeah, that was one that we all remember fondly. I even think the season before that, when we got promoted, I remember going down to 10 men, David Brooks.
Yeah.
And we won at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
I remember our first ever season in the Championship. Mark Pugh was stoppage time leveller. I've had some good ones. I mean, I've lost there as well as a fan, but I've had some really good memories at the City Ground, mate. I mean, it's a nice away day anyway, but I always find it weird. We'll look later, I'm sure, mate, you'll have the head-to-head and stuff, but in my mind anyway, I feel like Forest are always really good at home, but we've got a good record there.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
Our record's actually not bad. Like I say, we'll go on to do that. And it's interesting because obviously, it started off well when Gary O'Neill was temporary manager, and then we had that awful January and people were clamouring for him to go. I remember at Chelsea, fans were singing, Gary O'Neill, your football is shit, and stuff like that. Yeah. And that was early doors. And it became increasingly toxic. I remember at Brentford as well, it wasn't particularly pretty. But we had patience with him, and it came good. Now, Forest last season had patience with Cooper, and I think twice their owner came out and said, look, at a time where people were thinking he's due for a sack here, they came out and said the opposite. They backed him. But this season was just seemingly a stretch too far. I mean, they've lost 5 of their last 6 games, with the other drawn, of course, and only 1 win in their last 13. He was still popular with fans, players and staff alike, as Tom said earlier, but they were in a precarious position. And as Dave said on yesterday's show, it feels like they've got the worst form in this division.
Right, okay. Yeah, and I think, regardless of what you think, if you go on that run, like you say, was it 1 win in 13 or something, any manager at any club in the Premier League is going to be worried at that point. But the weird thing is, I don't think anyone feels as if Cooper's a bad coach, outside of Forest and inside of Forest. So, and for him personally, I wonder if they had carried on with him and say you get to February or whatever and he gets the sack because the run doesn't change, it looks like he's had such an awful run. Whereas now I feel like people are going, he'll still get a decent job. Because I think people have gone, we don't know if he would have sorted it out. But I do feel like, as much as the owner kept coming out, it felt like unless he done something special this season, there was something not right there with the owner and all the players he brings in. And I felt that he was waiting. And I think it was probably just waiting to, obviously in this instance, have Nuno available and ready. because he's got rid of Cooper after they lost to Tottenham. I mean, that's not, so it's obviously more gone back further than that. But yeah, weird one. I think that you get the amount of players that you've got in over 3 transfer windows or whatever. I don't think any manager would like that. That's too many players. How can you keep all them players happy? It's absolutely crazy. And I watched yesterday on the Stick to Football on the Overlap channel with Neville and that. I think Carragher said that when he spoke to Steve Cooper, because obviously they were discussing it, the amount of players he's got, he said it's impossible because I think he mentioned, I think it's Montiel, he's got the player that scored the winning penalty in the World Cup final for Argentina, and he can't get him on bench because he's got too many players. But how can you tell, he said they're good lads and that, but how can you tell these players they've got to train with the reserves?
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's too many. There's too many for them. But yeah, listen, I think Cooper's still a good coach. I think he'll get a good job regardless. But the run's the run. And Nuno might come in and do a good job. I don't think Nuno's turned to a bad manager. I know that Tottenham fans will probably have a very different opinion to Wolves fans. So we'll see what happens. But, change, as we mentioned a lot, sometimes change can give you an instant little bounce, which might be enough for them. I still think they've got enough quality and they've got an owner that will go into his pockets to be all right this season, personally.
I do remember that chant that we were singing at the City Ground. Should we relive it? Come on.
They're all fucking shit. They're all fucking shit. 21 players. They're all fucking shit.
We were cheeky, but it turned out that you've signed even more than 21. But look, we won't talk about Steve Cooper. We talked about him enough yesterday, really.
Right.
But Nuno, can I just give you Bournemouth's record against Nuno as a manager?
I know we haven't beaten.
Played 4, lost 3, drawn the other. We never beaten Nuno as manager. There are certain managers that we can never seem to beat. Alex Neil's another,
who's just lost his job as well, we struggled with. But yeah, I think in context, I don't think we played him when he was at Spurs.
No.
So it was only when he was at Wolves, and they were probably always favourites.
Yeah. What was his style like at Wolves? I'm trying to recall, because I thought it was fairly defensive.
Well, it was a bit more counter-attack. Obviously, he had that Traore with his pace. But I always remember he kind of, the way they played, got Conor Cody in the England squad, because he played that back 3, and he had Willy Bolly, who's obviously at Nottingham Forest now, and Bolly and Cody and one other were always at back 3. And they did play some good stuff. I mean, they got to Europe 2 seasons in a row, and since he's left, Wolves ain't as strong. Obviously, they've lost some key players. He had like Neves, and they had that Portuguese link, didn't he? Yeah. And I remember in the Championship, him and Warnock really had a good little battle with each other in the Champ. But yeah, I think he was a bit more counter-attack, predominantly through at the back. But as I say, we don't know. We don't know if he's going to be like that, or at Tottenham where he wasn't as successful. But you'd probably say Forest, bigger club, but a similar one to Wolves rather than Tottenham.
2 days, though, to be able to do what he wants to do, he's not going to have enough time to get those players together playing exactly how he will. So I wonder if it'll be almost he'll take a back seat with this. Of course, he's going to be on the bench and he's going to have his say, but you just wonder whether for continuity, well, that's probably something they don't want given their run of form, but it's going to be interesting because he's got to get to learn these players. I think Gibbs White has played with him before.
He was at Wolves,
there may be others, I'm not too sure. But is he going to change how they play completely? This is why it's such an unknown entity for AFC Bournemouth at the weekend. We can only do what we can do, of course. We'll take a look, whilst it was under Cooper's reign, at the results since their last win then, which was against Villa. And it's fair to say that it's not been overly great for them. But there's one result in particular stands out as being absolutely dreadful. But let's go through them. That 2-0 against Villa was a good result.
I remember watching it on the Sunday, and obviously as a Bournemouth fan at the time was going, please Villa. And I just thought Villa would go there and win. I thought Forest's game plan and the way they did it against Villa was really impressive. A really good win. You think, right, I think Cooper's got again, they'll be fine. They've got to win against Villa, they'll be absolutely fine. Then they lost that tight 1-3-2 to West Ham. And then there was another 3-2, wasn't it, at home to Brighton. Then a defeat at Everton was a bit of you start to go, at home to Everton. But Everton have picked up, obviously. But the 5-0 to Fulham was a real kind of...
and, yes, Fulham were good and we got to praise them, but Forest were awful.
Yeah, they were. And then at Wolves, the draw, they weren't great. And I was against Tottenham, there's a bit of context, Tottenham are a good side. But they did go down to 10. I never, as much as Tottenham didn't run all over them, I watched the game and I never felt like Forest were going to get anything out of the game at any point, really. So that was a bit of a concern for them. But yeah, it's strange because I felt like after that Villa performance that they were onto something again. I don't think, they've had some key injuries. I think Awani's really hurt them up front. I think that's really, really hurt them.
He did well at Old Trafford, didn't he, in the early this season?
And I've always quite liked him.
The pace, wow.
Yeah, pace and power, I've always quite liked him. And I don't think they trust Origi or Wood too much. So they've had to change bits and bobs, which hasn't helped. But yeah, I thought they'd kick on and be absolutely fine, to be honest, mate. And suddenly now they're looking over their shoulder and it turns very quickly, which obviously for Bournemouth fans, we know. And we've also got to be careful of that because, we've been on a few wins and now no one's talking about relegation. A few defeats and we'll be talking about it again. So that's where it's, that's the Premier League for you, mate.
Yeah, indeed it is. So look, this is the head-to-head record with Bournemouth showing their W's. I mean, there's quite a few there. There have been isolated defeats, of course. In the 2014-15 season, we lost them both.
I remember.
That was in our first championship season, wasn't it?
Stuart Pearce was manager of the home game.
Yes, he was, yeah.
We were 1-0 up. And I remember Britta Sombolongo caused us problems. He looked like, he was at the time, he was a real powerful striker of that league. I think the away one, Jamal Lascelles scored a header, I think. Yeah. I remember going to that. I believe it was like a midweek game. But yeah, well, obviously there's been some in isolation, but generally when I think of Nottingham Forest, I feel like I've got some good memories there as a Bournemouth fan.
Happy memories, and also Hooters that you used to frequently go to. Just some kind of pub with Bournemouth have won 2, drawn 4 and lost 4 in all our away league games at Nottingham Forest. But you have to put the context, we're going back a bit. We're going back a bit. In all competitions, Bournemouth, it's slightly better. 1-8, drawn 6, lost 6. Now, in terms of the transfer activity, we're doing
a 4-hour special.
Yeah. They made a few new acquisitions and they let a few go, didn't they? And they spent a bit of money.
Yeah, they have. I thought Sangare was going to be a really good signing for him. I think he was like 30 million, kind of in that Lerma mould that we had.
Where did he come from? Was it?
He was PSV.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think it was the last game actually, so I don't know if this will change, but I think he kind of had a falling out or something then happened to him. He was like removed from the squad, so that could change now with a new manager, which makes my team who's very easy to predict, doesn't it? Alanga, I think it's a good sign. I think he's looked good for him. Chris Wood hasn't worked yet, but he's someone that as a Bournemouth fan you don't really want to play against. Big unit,
especially
up top.
Set pieces.
Exactly. The Bournemouth, I think the one they're really impressed with, and the one I've been impressed with every time I've watched them, is Murillo at the back. He'd come from Brazil, and he looks like a real player. He's only young as well, so he's done well for him. The 2 goalkeepers, obviously they lost Dean Henderson. 2 goalkeepers, neither of them have really got the shirt yet. I mean, I watched Matt Turner against Tottenham and he was hopeless. He obviously got him from Arsenal, and then they got Vlachodimos, and he hasn't got the shirt yet either. So I don't know which one will play. That's difficult. Hudson-Odoi hasn't really kicked on. I thought that was such a good signing. It's like 3 million or something.
So all the players last season, all the players this season, I mean, it's a completely different side, isn't it?
It feels like it always is when you play Forest. Yeah, really. I'd like to kind of look back on like after this game, the 3 previous trips to Forest, say, and just look at the lineup and see how many actually played in 2 or 3 of them. There's not many.
A few departures though.
Brennan Johnson was the key one, and they got good money for him.
But was he?
What are you talking about? What, Sam Surridge being the
Sam
key
Surridge.
one? Oh, how did they let him go? How did they get 5 points? We couldn't believe we got about 5 million for him, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we were like, what? He's bang average. And now they've got, and he's over in Nashville in MLS, which you normally do when you're about 40. But yeah, sorry, that was a weird one. I don't think he's not a Premier League player in my opinion. We always had a bit of banter, but it was more to do with his old man on Twitter, wasn't it? Merry Christmas to Surridge's dad. But yes, I never thought he would. I thought he was decent in the Championship. Yeah, he's handy, but probably weirdly similar to like Kiefer Moore, but is he Premier League? But yeah, obviously he went. I think a few kind of like backup players went. Obviously Cookie ended up going as well after he fell out of favour, another ex-Bournemouth. But yeah, the main one was Brennan Johnson, and Tottenham kind of get why he's gone there. But they got good money for him. He's a good player, Brennan Johnson. But they've got enough bodies in them kind of areas now with Alanga and Hudson-Odoi. So I think they've done all right.
Steve Cook was another player who I think publicly tweeted after Cooper's dismissal, didn't he? He said, how much he really liked him, etc. So yeah, a lot of I'm really interested to see the reaction because it wouldn't be surprised if there's a bounce, but then it wouldn't also be a surprise if there's the continuation of the form that they've had as well. And as such, he's not under that much pressure to turn around straight away and get a result. So
yeah, it's a weird one. Like you say, the manager bounce, you go, well, Forest should win this, and they're obviously decent at home. But then you go, well, if you look at the form table, it should be a Bournemouth banker.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really, really difficult. And obviously we've it almost feels like we've had a bit more of a break because our game obviously didn't really happen against Luton. So you don't know how we're going to be in that sense. Obviously, there's injury things that you don't really know. You've got a manager where you don't know what team he's going to pick. I mean, if I get their predicted lineup bang on, I'm getting lottery tickets.
Tom is going to be predicting both teams shortly, but I mean, players that he won't be putting in there because on the injury front, they've been missing Serge Aurier, Sangare, as you said, Felipe, also Taiwo, as we referred to earlier. For us, though, yesterday on Twitter, we saw people who were screenshotting Milos Kerkez's dad, who showed him on his phone, which is great. Just glance down the photo and you can see him in a boot, a protective boot, which we're kind of thinking, okay, does that mean he's out or what? We don't know.
It doesn't look good. I'm not sure if the club will be happy that Milos's dad has put
revealed team news or potentially.
That Milos Kerkez, who no one thought was a doubt at all, was suddenly in a boot, like you say. And for Forest fans who aren't aware, we also about our only other player that can play left back really in Lloyd Kelly.
Unless it's mind games. That's an old photo. Maybe he's part of the whole.
Sure. But because you can't see what he's watching on his phone. I mean, I think it was the away day experience show that Milos was watching.
I think it was.
But so he's obviously now in our minds a doubt. Alex Scott was back on the bench in our last game that got voided, so he's hopefully available in the squad again. I wonder with Max Aarons, like you say, we might hear a bit more, but
we don't know if he's...
We don't know, but I know he was back in training similar time to Scott, and I just remember that them saying around Christmas he'll be back, so he could come back in, we don't know. So there's a few little bits in there, but apart from that, hopefully we're okay in terms of the injury front, mate.
Do you want to know the referees?
Nope.
Me and Robert.
Oh,
Robert Jones.
Is he good? Was he? We had him?
We haven't had him this season. We had him once last season away at the Villa, which was
bad.
Bloody awful.
Yeah, there's no big decisions, was there?
No, there wasn't. No, the referee was fine. We were just absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, whatever.
What we'll do now is do the teams. You ready? Let's go.
This is going to be hard work.
So Tom has got the teams. You know what? It is going to be hard work, and good luck, Tom. I'm really interested to see how you do this because at the end of the day,
could be anything.
It could be anything. Look, Forest. Yeah. If you get this right, I mean, even if you get the keeper right, you never know. 5-3-2, then you've got them in.
Yeah, I'm gonna 5-3-2/3-5-2, I guess.
Because you've been looking at how Nuno likes to play his first games when he in charge of new teams, and that's the format he's blagging it.
I'm blagging it big time. Their fullback's quite attacking as well, so I feel like and I just think he'll go, let's play a bit safe, blah blah. He's got some decent centre halves there. I'm actually gonna put Vlachodimos in goal. It was Matt Turner in the last game. They've both played a bit. Yeah. In that game against Tottenham, their last game, I thought he was rubbish. So I just think clean slate for both goalkeepers. I think he's going to pick Vlachodimos personally. Kind of wing backs, if you like. So on that right hand side, obviously you said Aurier's out, so I think Williams will play, Nico Williams will play. 3 centre backs, he'll definitely play Willy Bolly. He knows him. I think Murillo, as I mentioned, and Niakate. Yeah. You got your 3 centre halves there, and then Toffolo at left wing backs really. The midfield 3 is difficult. So Gibbs White's been playing as kind of a false 9, really, kind of up front. I don't think he'll do that. I think when Nuno had Gibbs White, he always had him in midfield. So I'm going to put him in that midfield 3 with Yates and Mangala. Yeah. So that's going to be a midfield 3. And then I reckon he'll want a striker. And with Aouani out, I think he'll go Wood, just because if you do your own work, Bournemouth concede a lot from headers.
We did it in the last game, even though it was abandoned.
But if you have Alanga with him, you can mix it up because you've got the pace. So I think he'll play Wood and Alanga. So I'm going to go with that. If I get it right, I'll buy a lottery ticket. You can take that for what you want, but there's no way I'm getting it right. But that's what I'm going for.
All right. And as for Bournemouth, 4-2-3-1 now. Are you going on the basis that Kerkez is possibly out, ruled out, and then Aaron's in, or Aaron's out, or what?
Well, I've kind of been looking at it. I just saw, like, when I've seen online and stuff, a lot of people are going, well, if Aaron's 8 back and Kerkez is out, then we're going to have to, do we play 3 at the back? But he's not going to change the system because one player's out when we've been on a mental run. Yeah. I think he'll want to change. You've got to remember, we've kept Luton games void, so we've kept back-to-back clean sheets, both on the road. He's going to want to change defensively as little as possible. So Neto's obviously in goal. Yeah. So I think because of that, he'll just change Kerkez for someone in at left back. I think he'll keep Smith at right back.
So not move Smith over?
No, because I think you're changing too much now. I think he'll be like, I want to keep as much.
Yeah,
because we're doing so well at the back.
Yeah.
So I think he'll play Smith at right back still, Tabani and Senesi, and then I think Aarons will be back and play at left back.
And he's done that before. I mean, for England in the
under 21s.
21s, that's right.
He played in the final at left back. He's done. I always think right backs can play left back. Can't they, anyway?
I'm sure Chris Reeve alluded to that when we chatted to him in terms of his versatility.
He can cut to play. I mean, Smith can as well, so you could always change that at half time or during a game. But I just think that he'll want to keep that defensive structure. As little change. He wouldn't be changing it if he didn't have an injury. So. He'll do that, in my opinion. Let's obviously, if Aarons is back, I'm just going off what I believe. I think Cook and Christie will obviously stay as that double pivot.
Yeah.
Tav on one side. I'm actually going to move Clive to a wide position.
Oh, right. So no Semenyo?
No, I'm going to leave Semenyo out and bring Billen in. Just because, obviously, in the last game against Luton, we changed it at half time.
Yeah.
We were 1-0 down.
And it worked.
We literally done this. We took Semenyo off, moved Clive at wide, brought Billen on, and instant impact. We looked miles better. We obviously scored the goal, and then obviously what happened in the game happened. But Billen's got a good record at the City Ground, little things like that. Yeah. Just think he'll come back in and Clive will move out. And Semenyo's a good weapon to have on the bench as well. And it's also that flexibility of if you've got someone at left back that hasn't played for a while, you can always move Tav there. He'll help him because he's playing wing back.
Yeah, true.
Bits and bobs like that, mate. And then obviously the main man, Dom Solanke, leading the line.
There we go then. Before we go, we'll take a look at the average positions of Forest in the last 4 games they've had there. Some interesting reading there, including the one against Fulham where they were ripped apart, but arguably you could say their average position was probably more defensive there. So it looks like low block is not for them. And against Spurs where yes, we know that Spurs went down to 10 men. However, they were in that game. And as a result, their average position was a bit further forward. They were probably chasing the game towards the end, which probably helps that stat. But it could be a different setup completely, like you say, different personnel and a different way of playing.
It's just
a different way of playing.
That's what I mean. It's just so hard to almost preview this game because it is literally as you don't know what Nuno's going to do, what his kind of thought process is with the group he's been given. And you kind of wonder if he's just going to test some bits out until he gets to the window and then he can address what he's doing with his squad. But yeah, so it's difficult to judge. It's going to be difficult for us to know what to do in terms of how they're going to set up. We don't know. So it might take, that kind of first 10. I wonder if Iraola and Bournemouth will kind of, let's see what's going on here. But yeah, I think they'll probably play, as I say, with a 3/5, kind of get themselves into the game and try and offer threats on the counter attack because they know we like to play front foot and we'll leave gaps. So I think they'll try and use that pace on the break in, people like Alanga. But yeah, it's kind of a game that we're not really sure going into it. So
who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
Confident?
How can I be confident or not? I mean, that's what I'm going to ask you now as well. How are you feeling about it? Do you think we can get a result? Let us know in the comments below and let us know what you think will transpire. Do you think it's going to be a difficult game? Do you think, we could steamroller them. You never know. But it could be, I don't think they're going to steamroller us, but I certainly think that they have the ability to just skank a win, maybe. Look at us being all confident like this. In terms of scorelines, though, what I'm going to go for is Nottingham Forest will score 1, Bournemouth 2.
Wouldn't mind that, mate. Wouldn't mind that at all. I think we've had a 2-1 there not so long ago. That would be lovely. I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit more just because I'm not sure what's going to transpire in the game, as we've alluded to. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
And I think with the form we've had, I think any point away from home is good. And I think if we can go there, get a point, play pretty well, I'll be pretty happy. I think we're more than capable of winning. I don't think I wouldn't take a draw, but I feel like it's not the end of the world. We're on a good run. You don't want these teams to gain any ground on you. So it's basically another game ticked off where we're ahead of Forest.
Yeah, true.
It's just so hard to predict that I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit and go 1-1, mate, to be honest. I think both teams will be relatively okay with that as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm going to go 1-1, mate. Hopefully it'll be a good game, but yeah, really difficult to judge this one. But I'm looking forward to it because I love Forest away.
Yeah, me too. Safe travels if you're going up.
Watch the wind, bit of wind.
Yeah, it's very windy up there.
We don't like wind.
Watch out. We don't want to see any falling bits off the stadium or whatever, so bring your hard hats. Yeah. And look, we'll see you up there at the pub, have a couple of beers, and fingers crossed we'll take 3 points home with us, eh? How does that sound? Up the Cherries.
See you later.
See you later on.
That's such a hard preview to do that.
Yeah.
No clue what's going to happen.